to Vine's View. In the summer of 1994, a small group of people sat around a kitchen table, much like we are here today, and discussed how to create a safe and effective way for people to help their neighbors. And thus, Vine Faith in Action began by developing a simple organization where volunteers who wanted to help were matched with people who needed a helping hand. Throughout the years, the organization has grown to fit the needs of those looking to age to the max, caring for themselves and others regardless of their years or means. Vine provides older adults with services directed at keeping them happy, healthy, and living independently in their own home for as long as possible. These services include chores, transportation, peer mentoring, Meals on Wheels, medical equipment loan, caregiver support, and social, educational, health, and fitness opportunities. Each month, we will be showcasing a different program or service that Vine offers in the greater Mankato community. This month, we're going to be talking about Vine's Diabetes Prevention Program. With us today, we have Katie, Vine's Diabetes Prevention Lifestyle Coach, and two current participants, Sharon and Shar. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Katie, can you tell us a little bit about the disease itself?
Yeah, in our diabetes prevention program, we're talking specifically about type 2 diabetes. There's a few different kinds of diabetes, so we're focusing in on type 2 diabetes, which has to do with the improper production of insulin in someone's body. So we have a couple different stats about diabetes that we have available here. 1 in 11 American adults is affected by type 2 diabetes. Every 21 seconds, one new adult is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. There's a big economic cost within the healthcare system for people who have type 2 diabetes. And simply put, 1 in 5 healthcare dollars goes to somehow serving someone with type 2 diabetes. And so it's a really big issue that affects a lot of people. And one of the reasons why there are so many healthcare costs is because the disease comes with lots of complications, other health complications like heart disease, stroke, amputations, kidney failure. These things accompany type 2 diabetes, and so the prospect can be very daunting for people when diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And it's unfortunate because as largely as it can affect a person's health and life, the symptoms are pretty quiet, and it really can creep up on people. So it's really important to be screened early and to know one's risk and one's numbers when it comes to their health. And so the diabetes prevention program is for people who are at risk for type 2 diabetes. And so that means it's for people who are in the pre-diabetic range of numbers. So it's not necessarily for people who are in the range of type 2 diabetes, but below that as diagnosed with pre-diabetes.
So how does someone know if they have prediabetes? Then you kind of mentioned that it's difficult to know, it's kind of silent. So how does someone find out that they have prediabetes, or what are some of those symptoms that might be cues to people to know, I need to get this checked out?
A person can go in and get a blood test called the hemoglobin A1C, and that's something that tests your blood over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, and it kind of finds the average, and it tells you what your blood sugar level is. And so on the screen we've got this range here of A1C test results. So the normal range, I was talking about those different ranges of numbers, the normal range is below 5.7%, and that has to do with blood sugar. And then the pre-diabetic range is between 5.7 and 6.4%. Above that 6.5 and higher, that's the diabetic range. So if you go in and you get this blood test and your number is within 5.7 and 6.4, you're pre-diabetic, which your healthcare provider would tell you. There are other risk factors included, and that's something we'll definitely talk about. But it's important not to self-select out, especially if you're someone who's over 45 years old. The older you get, the higher your risk is that you might be pre-diabetic. 1 in 3 American adults is pre-diabetic, so 1 in 3. And 9 out of 10 of those 3 doesn't know that they have prediabetes. And so simply being aware that it affects so many people is good reason to not assume that you're the person who doesn't have it. Mm-hmm. So being screened is something that we really want to emphasize as a solution, and to getting on the right path. Because if someone has prediabetes, they're on the road towards developing into type 2 diabetes, but someone can turn a different corner. Someone can turn back on the road, and it can be prevented. Okay. So
we actually have a short video that we would like to share with the viewers that was put out by, I believe, the American Diabetes Association in partnership with a few others. And this is kind of a good test that people can take at home if they think that they might be at risk. And I guess we'll let the TV doctor tell us a little bit more here.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up 1 finger if you're a man, women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
Evidence-based program, that means partly it wasn't just something that I made up and I'm like, I think this would be really great. It's based on lots of research by professionals who are studying diseases and epidemics, and it's the curriculum, the structure of the program, the handouts, it's all based on rigorous research, and it is implemented because of the research that they've accrued. It affects best practices, and so the whole program is based on best practices, and it has been proven to be effective. So this program, the Diabetes Prevention Program, was developed by researchers. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, wanted to know, because the numbers of type 2 diabetes have been rising, and with that knowledge, they thought maybe we should see if this can be prevented. And so they implemented research where they had 3 different groups. 1 was a control group, 1 was given medication, and 1 group was given a structure of a lifestyle change program with a coach and kind of a group support environment. And they learned very quickly that that group support environment and helping people change habits and their lifestyle was more effective initially, and also maintained the effectiveness of preventing the disease, is more effective than medication. And so very quickly, the CDC decided we need to develop a program, we need to get this out into communities and work on preventing type 2 diabetes. So that's how it was all developed, and it's based on lots of research and proven to be effective.
So could you give us a brief overview of VINE's program then, how you implemented that?
Yeah, so the program takes place over a full year. For the first 6 months, that's our core sessions where we focus, every week we meet once a week for an hour, and we focus on lifestyle changes, habits and skills, things that are going to help a person be successful in the program goals. And then we have the second half of the program takes place over the last 6 months, where we're instilling all of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the sessions in a way that, okay, we've lost some weight, we've been able to change some habits, how do we maintain that? So it's reinforcing that information. The program has one main purpose, which is to prevent type 2 diabetes. And the goals in reaching that, based on research, are losing between 5 and 7% of your body weight and exercising up to, or at least 150 minutes every week. It's been proven that the 5 to 7% of body weight is something that is achievable. It's something that feels like a manageable amount of weight to lose. And it's also proven to be effective. That amount of weight can help you prevent or delay the onset of type 2 diabetes. So we're not only focused on this year delaying type 2 diabetes, but next year and next year and next year. So we want it to be something maintainable. And that's the same for the 150 minutes as well. It's something that people can work up towards. And once they get there, they know that they're at a good number. It's really nice having a specific goal to reach towards. It's also enough to be proven effective for that weight loss that we talked about before. So,
Shar and Sharon, if you don't mind sharing, did you guys have your own goals prior to coming into the program besides the goals that Katie kind of put in place?
I think so. I'm in the healthcare profession, so I'm familiar with the side effects of diabetes and having to work with people. So I really wanted a healthier lifestyle. That was my number one goal.
I think that was mine too, just changing my eating habits. And you know, you start to get a few pounds extra that you really don't want, and just changing better, healthier eating lifestyle.
Did your goals change at all now that you've been going? Because you guys are at the 6-month mark, is that what I had heard? So
Yep.
now that you're kind of at that 6-month mark where the program is kind of starting to change, are your goals changing too?
No, I think I still want to be as healthy as I can be.
Okay.
Losing weight, of course, is always an option, and being more active, especially when I have the time now, where I didn't earlier in my life.
I think my food choices have changed.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Things that I love ice cream, and I have to be a little more selective on different food choices. So yes, I think mine has in that sense.
So both kind of going out to eat maybe as, you know,
Very-
as
and
well
different-
as making
yes.
food at home.
Correct.
You kind of know which foods are not the healthiest for you.
Yeah.
Instinctively.
Sharon and I were both big cheese eaters, and we both learned that, let's see, we have to be a little bit more conscious
Low
of,
fat is a good term.
just cutting that fat down.
Yes.
it seems like for a lot of people in the class, we start with these kind of big overarching general goals, and people set their own specific goals of how to reach that. Like, what's the thing that's inhibiting me from getting that 150 minutes a week? Well, I don't
But
like
does
to
it really-
exercise or
Weather.
But the sense of accomplishment
Yeah.
when you reach that certain goal of so many minutes of exercise or so many grams of fat, or it's pat yourself on the back because
Yeah.
it's a good,
Yeah, it's been a real positive program. And gives you a lot of positive strokes.
Good. Katie, what services does the program provide?
I think the main thing that it all comes down to in my mind is accountability. We get to talk a lot about new information maybe for people, but it's also setting up a structure of accountability. So learning these lifestyle changes, you know, do I want to choose this ice cream or that ice cream, or what is my snack going to be today? What am I going to build my meal around? Is it going to be around this very large piece of meat, or is it going to be around these really interesting vegetables I found at the farmer's market? So in a lot of ways, it's sort of changing the way we think, but the class offers a lot of accountability. Every week we weigh in. Everyone gets weighed in, and so there's that. You're accountable to the data, right? There's one participant in our class who is so driven by the data, and he knows he can't fudge that. and so when he comes in every week, that's something that he really uses as a marker for himself, and he's accountable to that marker. Then there's also, I asked them to bring their food trackers. We've got these food and activity trackers. So every week, I give a new fresh tracker, and participants write in what they ate, when, how much, and then we start learning how to track how many fat grams was in that and how many calories was in that, and it's all we slowly develop into it. So it's a skill that's learned, but when that's all written down, you're accountable to yourselves of you know what
Good
choices you
comments.
made.
And we get lots of positive strokes.
Good comments.
Yes, it's written in red, but it's not. They're not big
bad.
F's. Yeah, they're. It's supposed to be lots of encouragement and noticing the small successes along the way. So, in that way, you guys are accountable to me as the lifestyle coach, and showing up every week. You guys bond with each other. It's a group support environment.
Very much
Very
so.
much so, yes.
And so you guys are sharing things that are potentially very personal, things that affect your health and your families and your well-being. And so there's a lot of trust that's built, and it's an environment where people will come back and say, I thought about you guys this week. I was torn between these two things, or I was really struggling with this particular decision, and I heard you guys in my head in a positive way, and I decided to make a healthier choice than I would have otherwise. So in that way, they're accountable to each other, and simply showing up in your presence is
It's
that
nice
important.
too that it's a small group. It's not a big, 20 people or something like
It's
that.
around the table, and we're very comfortable.
Yeah.
How many total participants do you have right now?
We have 9 enrolled.
Okay.
Yep, and so
And you feel like you
Yeah.
missed something if you're not there.
You're noticed if you're not
Yeah.
there.
that too.
For sure.
Yeah, you're missed.
And then we get a weekly call usually from Katie too.
Yes.
That's real positive.
Good. So what have your favorite parts of the program been for you two?
I think sharing has been a good thing, because we pick up all these tips for when we go to the grocery store, and not just from Katie, but from each
other.
individual, and how to make a different meal or substitutes and friendship.
Yeah, the socialization has been a big part. That's been nice. It's also taught me that I have to read labels. Usually you just go to the grocery store and you just pick up probably whatever's cheapest.
Yeah.
Sure.
And now I've learned, nope, you need to look at those labels and see what is healthier for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
These can be misleading.
Oh, yeah.
Katie, what kind of topics do you typically cover during your sessions?
Well, kind of like you were saying, we talk about tips for healthy eating. So trying to break that down into meals and snacks, figuring out what things maybe could be replaced by other food items in order to reach specific goals. We have specific fat gram goals for each day, and that's dependent upon the person and their weight and their specific ramifications there. And so that kind of helps people like budget and decide, okay, I'm gonna eat this morning and this in the afternoon. Oh, I'm out of my fat grams. I'll have an apple, or I'll have these carrots instead. So it's really equipping people with the knowledge and skills to know how to move forward and make their own decisions. We also talk about ways to manageably get more physical activity. We talk about lifestyle activity and physical activity, or planned activity. So lifestyle activity is like if you're able to take the stairs, choosing to do that, maybe showing up someplace a little early, going for a walk, parking far away at the grocery store and walking. And so thinking about ways to get physical activity in a person's life in kind of creative way and have it be within the fabric of their normal day, but then also setting aside time to do any kind of physical activity. We talk about strength, flexibility, we talk about cardio, balance, a wide variety of physical activity, whatever suits the participant really. So
What was nice in that is that I'm still working part-time, and knowing that I can count the steps or the amount of time I use at work, walking up and down stairs and walking in my work environment was, hey, that's activity. And before it was just, it's just part of work.
Yeah.
So knowing that, oh, I am doing something active without really
And
thinking I
having
was.
an exercise
yeah.
partner has been important to me. I find if my walking partner is gone, I tend to maybe slack off a little bit. So I think just the social, having someone to do it with is good too.
Another thing that keeps coming up, almost every week someone mentions something about planning ahead,
Oh, yes.
or what happens if we don't plan ahead. That's
Dining-
been a big topic as
Dining
well.
out.
Yeah,
Planning
especially
ahead.
going out. to
Dining
eat.
out has been, yeah.
And what's nice is it's okay if you say, I don't care what I eat today because this is my special day. And I know my daughter and I went out this last week, and it was like, okay, my mom's favorite place was the Red Lobster. That's where we were going, and I ate what I wanted to eat. I came home and I filled out my little planner, and I'm going, oh dear. Red Lobster isn't a real good place to watch your fats and calories, but boy, we had a good time.
Because you needed that reward.
Exactly.
And what I like about the program is a lot of the goals are based on like patterns, and over the course of a week or a couple weeks. It's not like today you failed. It's like, today I made these decisions and I'm going to stand by them because I have to be accountable to the decisions I made. And we're given ways to figure out how within the week or the next couple weeks to still maintain your goals. So it's supposed to be a gracious environment, but also supportive and helping you reach your goals. So
Gives you the
not without
skills.
spine. Yes.
Gives you the
Yeah.
skills to correct what you maybe should not have done to go into what you should do.
What would you two say has been the most challenging part of the program? Those the trackers.
Yes, the trackers.
And time.
Yeah.
The time to do it, just to figure out the fat grams, and then understanding that the fat grams were probably higher than what you anticipated. Yes.
And what I've done is just start it. It's best if you do your tracker and add them up as the day goes along, because then you kind of know by supper time,
Yes.
oh, this is how much I've got left. It's like a bank account.
Yeah.
You don't want to get overdrawn.
Oh, good phrasing, yes.
Yeah, but I have this tendency in both my bank account and in my tracker. But that's the best way to do it. So I found that, you got to sit down and planning.
Good point.
Planning is very important,
Yes.
because I might have this nice plan for the day, and by supper time, because I either had my grandkids there or somebody stopped by for coffee or I went out to eat or something, it changes. So the tracker's probably the worst and the best of the program.
I agree.
That's usually how it works.
The participant who loves data, that's like his
His
bread and
Bible.
butter. But he also doesn't really like it because it's a big time commitment.
It is
Yeah.
a time
Yes,
commitment.
it is.
Yep, it's kind of like learning a new language.
You're facing it,
It's reality.
Yeah.
It's right here. It's in
Yeah.
writing. It's not in your brain, and you can't push it away. It's right in front of your face.
But I found that just reading labels makes a difference. It's easier to put what I read on the can or the container than to go through our little book and look them all up.
Yeah.
So I do a lot more label reading, and that's made it easier.
The correct amounts,
Yep.
correct grams.
Yeah.
And it's neat. We've got a diverse group in that some people primarily cook at home. Some people have meals at home cooked by their spouse. Some people primarily eat out. And so we've got a nice group in that people can learn from each other regarding those different environments. Someone who eats out quite a bit, she's figured out the places she goes, and she knows the things to order that fit along with her goals. And she's figured out how to break the meal down into its specific elements, and she can write it all out, whereas that's something that's difficult for other people, but she can help them in the class when they have questions about, well, I can do it when it's on the can, but when it's not on the can, I'm not sure how to look that up. And so it's a supportive environment in that way.
So who exactly is this program for then?
So, like I was saying at the beginning, it's a diabetes prevention program. So it's for people who are at risk for type 2 diabetes, namely people who are pre-diabetic. And so we've got some risk factors actually on the screen that we were talking about how important it is to be aware of your risks, and we encourage people to get screened if possible to get that blood test, the A1C blood test. But as the video, the doctor, it was really helpful just to know what things are putting you at risk for this. So we've got a list here. A big thing is being aware of your family history. If someone in your immediate family, biological family, has had type 2 diabetes, that's a big risk factor. Maybe you are a woman who was diagnosed with diabetes when you were pregnant, and or maybe gave birth to a child who was over 9 pounds. As I mentioned before, 45 years or older, you are at a higher risk than someone under 45 years. Your risk increases the older you get. And an inactive or sedentary lifestyle, so just lots of seatedness, it can be another big risk, as well as being overweight or obese. So those things aren't necessarily symptoms, but they're good things to be aware of. You know, if you might see yourself in some of those different categories, we definitely encourage someone to get screened, to go to their primary healthcare doctor and get a test taken.
So it's not for people who have been diagnosed with type 2 yet. This is just for people who are pre-diabetic, correct?
Exactly, exactly. Pre-diabetic, if a person has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, there are also other evidence-based programs for diabetes self-management, and we offer those at Vine. We're gonna have another one in the summer, I believe in June. And so there are other courses and programs for people who have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, but the prevention program is for people, it's not for someone who's been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
And is there a fee for the program?
No, the program is free, and it's open to the public. Person doesn't need a Vine membership in order to enroll.
And I guess for you too, what would you say to somebody who maybe has just been diagnosed with prediabetes? Would you recommend the program?
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Certainly.
Definitely. Lots of tools to learn.
Okay.
Lots of good life skill tools. Yes.
So it's been a good experience for both of you so far. And
Good leaders too.
Katie, how about you? If you just found out that someone was diagnosed with prediabetes, what would you say to them? Or
I would
someone
say,
who believes they might be.
Yeah, I would say good for you for being aware. That's an awesome first step. You're taking responsibility for your health. And I'd say, you know, it does not mean that you're going to get type 2 diabetes. It can be a daunting thought and a daunting notion, but it is possible that this can be prevented. And I'd encourage someone to find a program. And there's also just a number of other things that are really important, whether you're in a program or not. Losing a modest amount of weight, eating a little more healthfully if possible. More fruits and vegetables are always a good thing. And if you're someone who smokes, trying to stop that, maybe talking to your doctor about helpful treatment plans to stop smoking. That's really important for a few different diseases, including prediabetes, type 2 diabetes. So yeah, I would say take heart. It's not the end of the road for you. We can turn it around, I would say.
Well, great. Thank you guys for joining me today. That's all we have for today. If you'd like to learn more about the Diabetes Prevention Program at Vine, please visit vinevolunteers.com or give Katie a call at 507-386-5591. Thanks for tuning in today, neighbor. We'll see you next time.